Welcome to SomewhatNerdy Radio. We are your hosts. I am Snarf Chris.
I'm Critter.
Welcome to the show. This is a double feature podcast. It's one of my favorite podcasts that we do. We like movies. We like bad movies and good movies, and this is our love for bad and good movies.
Honestly, this started off as just bad movie, kind of a challenge.
A challenge.
And then we kind of got mad at each other for just really kind of
fucking the other person. Before we get into it, go follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the other social medias that we have. Go leave us a review. Thank you for everybody that left us reviews recently. That's always awesome. But let's go ahead and get into this because I'm super interested in talking about both these movies. They're both for our podcast. These are probably the most modern movies that we've done, and we usually don't do too many modern movies as older movies.
But a lot of the times when we do modern movies, they're usually a little bit of deeper cuts.
Yeah, for sure. We did the sadness. Did we do that on the podcast?
I don't think so.
Have we not done the sadness on the podcast?
I don't think so.
Maybe
I think we just watched it.
I think we just watched it and fucked each other in the head. So
much like the movie.
I saw The Devil. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Oh,
God, you had to put the sadness
back in it.
Jesus Christ.
Let's palate cleanse that. We're going to talk about my movie first, I think.
Okay, go ahead.
We're going to talk about The Lair from 2022.
By men that wanted to cut my head off. I've flown 28 combat missions in 3 tours. But none of that scared me half as much as what I saw in that bunker.
It's easy to see them as monsters, but they're just men.
It's not human.
There's nothing like this bunker or any satellite images.
I can take you to it.
The safety of my men is paramount.
Quit screwing around, dude.
Man down!
It's here.
How many are we talking about?
There's an army down there.
Kill anything that shrieks.
Batter up, you son of a...
So this is a 2022 movie that came out very recently, like I said, and it is directed by Neil Marshall. So Neil Marshall, you may recognize at one time or another, this would be up there on one of my favorite directors. So probably the first movie that, if you're listening to this podcast, Critter, I think it would probably be the same thing that you probably, and even if you don't recognize his name, one of the first movies I watched of his was Dog Soldiers.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
I love that movie. You have no idea how much I love that movie. It's maybe my favorite werewolf movie.
It is probably my favorite werewolf movie. One of the first times anybody ever introduced this to me, and it was very underground at the time when somebody introduced it to me. Because it's a British horror movie.
Well, first of all, I remember I just rented it randomly at Blockbuster back in the day.
It's got an awesome movie cover.
And it does, but it looked cheesy enough. I was just kind of like, all right, I'm going to grab this. So I grabbed it, and I watched it, and I remember watching it. I was like, the acting has no right to be this well acted.
The werewolves are my favorite type of werewolves.
Amazing.
They stand up on 2 legs. They're huge,
trap
hairy.
Movie, and a trap movie too.
Oh yeah. So, and if you haven't seen Dog Soldiers, it's like a British.
Get off your ass and go watch it.
Yeah, you should watch this movie. But they're a British, and they're in training in this forest, and there's werewolves running around all the same time. So it's a military movie. And then werewolves fucking attack them while they're in training. Great fucking movie. This is directed...
Absolutely amazing movie.
This is directed by Neil Marshall. Then the next movie I watched from... and the reason I was really interested in watching the next movie is because Neil Marshall was directing it and was Descent.
Interesting. Okay, because I watched this movie just because it looked good. I actually had no idea who this director was. Actually... I still kind of don't know his name.
The director, Neil Marshall.
But goddamn, maybe I love him.
But that's why I was really into, because I really fell in love with Dog Soldiers, and when Descent came out, I'm like, oh, I gotta fucking watch that.
Awesome movie.
Yeah, so I watched
Creepy.
Descent. Yeah,
creepy.
Is it in there? And this is one of those. you don't really know what's happening in the movie, even after you watch the movie and somebody explains it to you, and ignore part 2 because he didn't have anything to do with part 2, and which fucks up number 1 totally. It's one of those movies like, is everything happening in their head? And it's just about this series of girls that spelunk. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spelunking. Yeah.
Spelunking. And then they get attacked by these subterranean creatures, possibly. It's just so good. And it's such a fucked up movie, too. It will make you not want to go in caves.
Oh,
I don't want to
absolutely.
spelunk.
Well, and they do it in Appalachia,
Yeah.
which is well known for cave disappearances of people. And it's heavy caves. And they're vastly unexplored.
Yeah. After this,
Great movie.
Great movie. Yeah. It's, again, those two would be, those are very high on my list of horror movies. They really are. They're fucking great. After this, he directed Doomsday, which was, I think, his first big giant budget, or big budget movie. That after he did those 2 other movies,
It was a lot of action, a lot of blowy uppy.
Yeah, it stars that knockoff Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah, still super hot.
Which played Kate Beckinsale later in the Underworld movies.
Oh, that's true.
So she just played she played in the prequels.
Yeah, no, well, it wasn't Kate Beckinsale. It played.
It's not.
It was the
Another
lady
character,
vampire
yeah,
that
yeah,
was
yeah.
Kate Beckinsale
Yes.
later on. Yeah.
But this is a Mad Max type movie, and me and my friend, when this came out in 2008, Tomas, was a fan of this director, so we went to the movie theater, and it's the first time the guys disappointed me, I guess. Like, it's okay.
It was
movie,
entertaining. It was
but
entertaining.
I didn't walk out of the movie going, "Oh, that was the same director as Dog Soldiers and Descent. Maybe the dude shouldn't get as much money to film his fucking movies. Maybe he should only do low budget movies." And then more recently, and this came out in 2019, he's done some other stuff, but 2019, he directed the remake of reboot, I guess, of Hellboy.
I like that one.
I love that movie.
I think it was more Hellboy-ish.
It's more,
as much
if you
as
read the comic book.
As much as I love Guillermo del Toro's Hellboy,
Yes,
this
agreed.
was more accurate.
Yeah, no, this is definitely more comic book. If you read the comic book and understand like the lore and everything like this is way more accurate. I love Ron Perlman as Hellboy.
Yeah.
It's
everything Guillermo del Toro did was great.
Yes.
But this was also great. And I don't understand why it wasn't more successful, because it was actually in the more kind of ridiculous phase of it.
It's great. It's got the guy from Stranger Things in it.
Yep. David Harbour.
Yeah, that's his name. But nobody gives this movie any kind of... Nobody went and watched this in movie theaters. And I don't understand. I did too.
I did.
And I don't understand why anybody never talks about this movie, and it just got very just shoved under the rug. But it's good. It's solid.
Yeah. You know what, man? I mean, like, it is good. You're right. He does a really good job of, like, adapting things, I feel like.
Yeah, for
you know?
sure.
Like, the previous things he mentioned, he was a heavy writer, and he's a big writer and a big producer in a lot of these things. And, like, his directorial stuff is, like, kind of impressive for the limited amount that he's done, but the stuff he's done from the very beginning has been impressive.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but, you know, with all the impressive things aside, I mean, we have not really dove into... You've been talking a long time about what he's done. We're talking about The Lair.
And I really feel like I don't want to talk about The Lair.
Why don't you want to talk about it?
It's not good. This is maybe one of the more disappointing things I've seen from a director that I respect and like.
Okay.
I watched this movie because he directed this. It was just random.
I'll be honest with you. This fell into the same thing. I have seen every one of this dude's movies. Yeah. And I swear to God, I have no idea who this person is. I'm just like, I want to see it. When I saw the synopsis of it on Shudder, I was like, you know what? I kind of want to watch it. So I watched it. And yeah, I think you're right.
It's
kind of shit the bed.
I don't even want to spend time on this. I'm going to run through the synopsis really quick. And then we're going to do a really quick review. And then we're going to palate cleanse the fuck out of this with your movie. Because it is much better than this movie. And it is a movie... And its basic premise is a fucking Resident Evil ripoff. It looks like Resident Evil. It's acted as well as the fucking Resident Evil. Not the good ones.
I was going to say they wish.
It's the bad ones. The CGI looks fucking worse than Resident Evil. From scene, it either looks like a guy in a fucking suit that can barely move in it, or really bad CGI. And the synopsis is, it doesn't even fucking matter. It's a pilot crashes in Afghanistan. She finds this bunker that was Russian owned at way back in the war days. And there's a Resident Evil knockoff fucking lab under the.
It definitely was.
It was under the desert. And of course, she accidentally releases them running away from the Afghanistans that were attacking her. Mm-hmm. And then she ends up running into the American soldiers, which are all fucking this cliche America, bad acting. I haven't looked up this because I don't want to know. I'm pretty sure this was most of their, other than the ones I kind of recognize this from other just bad things, first acting job.
Sure.
Because they all act like it was their first. They almost all act like it's a student fucking film.
Oh, I get that. But I will not accept first-time actors because the kid in Critters was amazing.
I
every time I rewatch that, I'm like, that kid's going
good.
Places, and then he didn't. But then he's also in Seth MacFarlane's show, The Orville, and he's amazing in it.
You want to talk about Orville?
No,
or Critters?
Go to your thing. Go to your thing.
But this is as disappointed was a movie that I've been in a really, really fucking. We watched so many bad movies on this podcast.
Sure,
this is the most disappointed I've been in a movie on this fucking podcast.
So let me ask you, is it disappointing because it's really that bad, or is it disappointing because this guy was batting 1,000 and then just shit the bed?
Both. Because the movie is not fucking good. If somebody else other directed this, I would give it a little bit more leeway.
Because again, when I watched it, I didn't know who this director was. Mm-hmm. And once you told me Dog Soldiers, honestly, perfect werewolf movie.
Yes, it's perfect.
I mean, it's... To go back to our previous podcast talking about perfect movies, that movie is amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So, like, for him to go from that, which was one of his earlier works, to this, I mean, like...
It almost feels because of Hellboy, which was a giant, big budget movie that fucking failed.
That's not fair.
Which is, you look at his movie releases that are coming out, and he's released around this, because he's released other movies, but they're all just straight to... If there was still a straight to DVD or a straight to VHS market, like that's the type of movies he's doing right now.
I do see he does a lot of TV.
Yeah, he does a lot of TV.
He does like kind of like good TV.
Yeah. He's done like Lost in Space,
Game of Thrones, Black Sails.
Yeah, he's done things, but he did this.
Yeah.
And this is bad.
This is pretty bad.
This is unwatchable, borderline.
I disagree with that. It's not that it's unwatchable.
It's close.
But it's definitely not good. I mean, when I was watching it, I'm like, what are they doing? Like, how is it almost goodish things, and then they just like, I'm going to phone this in. It's like, just keep going.
This is how I described it to somebody else. I know shit about putting a movie together. Shooting it, production, or whatever. And I feel like accidentally I can make a better movie than what this is.
Wow.
Unfortunately. Watch this movie like 3 fucking times.
Do you think it's because of the acting?
The acting doesn't help.
Because, I mean, like, storyline, it's fine.
It's fine.
Right?
Storyline, if you just wrote this storyline on paper, you'd be like, oh, yeah, how could you fuck that up?
That's probably how it got greenlit.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, okay, now we're talking.
And they didn't realize how bad it was until he turned in the fucking film. But it's so badly acted, so badly... Nothing looks good in this movie. The creature is such a fucking disappointment every single time it's on film. Which
sucks because, like, the still looks amazing.
Yeah, the creature would look okay.
Well, it looks like an alien. That's why.
Yeah, okay, yeah. It looks like an alien mixed with
Nemesis or a liquor.
Yes, it looks like a liquor.
Yeah,
it's a Resident Evil knockoff through and through. Nobody can. If he came out, I haven't watched any interviews with him because I'm done with this fucking dude.
Don't say that.
Yeah,
let Dog Soldier save you.
Fine. And if he doesn't say in an interview that Resident Evil inspired me to make this movie, he's fucking lying, and he should be sued by Capcom.
Okay.
I'm there on this movie.
You're adamant about that.
I'm fucking pissed off about this movie. I wanted to watch this movie.
I mean, I don't think I hated it as much as you, but knowing that, what would you rate this movie?
I'm gonna give it a 2.
Okay.
2 out of 11.
Okay, well then, yeah, you're right there with me. I would do 2.2.
Sure, if you want to give it a little bit more. 2. Yeah, I will never watch this movie again.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
Me neither. But I don't, like, oh my god, I wasted so much time.
And this is, like, coming from me, which
That's
likes
true. You like
fucking
bad
terrible
stuff.
movies.
You like some bad stuff.
Think about the other movies that I've given, like, 5 on this podcast.
Yeah. Movies you've made me watch. And
Yes.
you're like, I like these movies. I'm like, why?
Those are like Escape from
Why?
the Stars. Battle of the Stars or whatever. Fucking, I gave it like a 7.
Oh my god, that's so terrible. All right, so moving right along to mine then.
Please.
I picked the 2022 movie called Sick.
Where's your mask? This isn't a vacation, it's a quarantine.
A quarantine in style.
Are you kidding me?
This is incredible. Sick, and it's all ours. The only neighbor is miles away.
I thought you were spending quarantine alone.
What are you doing here?
I wanted to see you, and quarantine can be fun.
Mary,
Jump in, water's fine. Who is this?
I don't know.
That's creepy, Parker.
Who is that guy?
Just one moment.
Unlock the door! Unlock the door!
You have a mask, don't you? You're masked.
What?
I can't let you in. It's not safe.
Are you kidding me? Lady, please!
Yeah, this is a movie from Blumhouse.
And you know what, dude? I love Blumhouse. Anytime I see Blumhouse, I mean, even when it's bad, it's usually okay.
It's okay.
But when I came across this, it was a direct to Peacock movie,
Yeah.
right? So like I had 0 expectations for it. I was like, this is not gonna be good.
I'm surprised this movie didn't get released in theaters.
Well, it went to a Toronto Film Fest.
Okay, all right.
But
That makes sense.
But
yeah.
it was
definitely film festivally.
It was a horror film fest.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I mean, like when I had low expectations, but you know how I feel about slasher movies. Like you could tell from the graphic, it's a slasher. I was like, all right, so I'm gonna check this out. So I watched it. Low expectations. Started off, the acting was, fine, nothing major.
Mm-hmm.
Kids, college kids.
The main girl is hit or miss
Yeah.
throughout the movie, but it's fine. Yeah.
But so anyway, so these college girls. It's during the height of COVID. These college girls are going on a retreat because everyone has this quarantine. So they decide to quarantine out in the middle of nowhere, as you know, is usually a bad idea for horror movies. Things happen.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they start getting weird phone calls and weird this and weird that. And one of their friends show up, who's a guy, and he's in relations with this chick, and then whatever, that just add some storyline to it. Things happen, like music turns on for no reason, and when they leave to go investigate, the guy stops and is like, no, there's someone in the house, and then escalates.
The calls coming from the house.
And it's like, there's someone in the house, and he's like, do you have your phone? She's like, no, it's gone. So they took the time to take their phones and then continue to torture them. That's on them. And then slasher movie things, antics happen. They kind of chase them. There's the kind of like cat and mouse type situations. Honestly, like the synopsis is that.
Yeah.
It's that, and then you have your final girls situation. So they had this really awesome, dumb little twist, and it turns out, spoiler alert, starting now, fast forward maybe
couple
minutes, and you should be fine. But just watch the movie.
Yeah, actually, you should have watched the movie before you
we told
listened
you to watch
this.
the movie. Watch the goddamn movie. So turns out this girl was at a party and made out with this kid and infected him with COVID, and he died. And
the
family's pissed. So they go on a killing spree and kill everyone involved with this girl that infected her son. and the guy that infected her, because apparently she just likes making out with people, as it's college, whatever. And then they're blaming her and like, you killed my son, you weren't wearing a mask. By the way, if you think like, well, why wasn't he? Don't worry, they tackle that.
Yeah, they do.
They're like, why wasn't he? They're like, no,
and
it's
she
your
gets slapped.
fault. Yeah, it's your fault. Because, all right, spoilers done.
Mm-hmm.
The movie was written by Kevin Williamson.
Who's that?
That is the genius that wrote all the Scream movies.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think I knew that. Yeah.
So that is why it's tongue-in-cheek. It's clever.
Here's the first thing I told you about the movie. It's a movie that we've all seen before, but really well done, but in a modern time.
Yeah.
It's really fresh in all our memories, having to live through COVID and lockdowns and masks and going to the market and grabbing all your food and wiping everything down, especially at the beginning of it. So it's all these memories coming back of the fucking hell that we went through for the past 3 years. But it's just wrapped up very, very, very well in a slasher movie.
In a fun way.
Yeah, in a fun way.
In a fun, clever way.
Yeah.
Which is a Kevin Williamson just that he does.
Yeah. Like the kills that does happen, because there's not enough kills in the movie. It's fine. I mean, there's not enough characters in it to have a bunch of kills.
There's only 3 characters.
Yeah, in the entire fucking movie. The relationship between the two girls is believable.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever they're fucking fighting with the assailant, the slasher, it's well done. I mean, it really is.
And every time it has a very supernatural feel.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Which is very Kevin Williams, because he's very self-aware, which I love about him.
Yeah, because even in Scream and everything like that, like every once in a while, Billy Loomis or something like that tosses somebody, or something happens where you're like, well, is it supernatural? And I even think I said that when I was watching the movie, is like, he just tossed her fucking across the room. I think it was just a built dude.
No, what I meant just the self-awareness is supernatural. Like when you're
Supernatural, the TV show.
The show, because every time I'm watching Supernatural, it's like, why wouldn't they do this? And then they say it in the show, like, why are we doing this? And it's like, oh my god, they get it.
No.
But Kevin Williamson does the same thing, because he's so self-aware. He's such a good writer when it comes to. He didn't direct this.
Yeah,
he just wrote it. But like the director did a great job too, and the director was, let me pull that up real quick. I want to give a little love. John Hames. But what he does is like a very good, like, this is what people are going to say when they're watching it, because he must just studied it.
Yeah, for sure.
And then he's like,
I'm watching the movie and be like, don't stop hitting him. Hit him again. Why are you going upstairs? Why are you locking yourself in the attic? It's the same thing you do when you watch Scream. It's what the characters in Scream say while the things are happening to them. Well, this is not Scream. This is not a self-aware group of people that have watched horror movies.
But also they also solve those things that you think are going to happen. They go upstairs because of a reason.
Yeah.
They do things because of a reason.
Sure. Yep.
And it's like, hey, don't stop hitting them. And then that chick doesn't
stop hitting them. Yeah. That is the coolest kill, I think, in the entire movie. And again, spoilers. I hope y'all watch the movie, whatever. One of the killers. There you go.
Spoiler.
There's another spoiler. Gets hit in the face, and I'm just like, well, you don't stop until there's brain matter on the fucking ground.
And guess what? She didn't stop.
She didn't stop.
But of course, usual slasher style, it
One
doesn't
more time.
matter.
One more time.
It doesn't matter.
Double tap.
Yeah. But in slashers, double tap does not
work.
It doesn't matter, because it comes back.
Yeah.
You could just like cut off their, like, if someone actually went through it and they'd be like, nope, still coming back, be a ghost or some shit. Cause
obviously this is like, as we're talking about, this is like one of those horror movies where you just like, you start pinpointing everything that you would do or you would not do in our heads if a horror movie was happening to us.
Yeah, when you start thinking about the tropes about what they do and don't do, I kind of want to challenge people.
I think we should probably do a podcast on that eventually.
I would love to do a trope thing, especially about horror.
Maybe we get Halloween's coming up. Maybe we'll start kind of planning that podcast.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
But yeah, no, this is a movie I'm really glad you brought up to my attention. This is not, I knew about the movie and I think I saw a trailer of it, but then it was about COVID and all that shit. And I'm like, I don't want to watch a fucking movie about COVID.
Well, I remember when I put it on, you were like, oh, is this going to be political?
Yeah.
And I was like, no.
And political, why? don't give a fuck about either side of like whatever political argument you're gonna have about it. But COVID just turned into the stupid political thing, and I'm like, I don't fuck.
You thought it was gonna be preachy.
I don't want to hear about COVID either way.
And it kind of was.
It kind of was,
but
in the most fucked up way possible. It really is.
The stupidest fun way. It's like, okay,
like the movie took the ridiculous side of whatever political argument you want to have about COVID, and it went super extreme, and it ran both ways with it.
So there's basically like everyone's wrong.
Yes, everybody's wrong, which is probably fucking true. So this is yet another one of those movies that you put on a list that we've done a double feature on, and I'm like, man, I'm really glad you put this on the list, because I don't think I would have watched this regardless.
I agree, because the only reason why I watched it is because, you know, I watch movies.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
And I watch movies, but I'm more in my comfort zone movies. Like, I know what I'm going to like. So
I watch mostly new stuff.
Yeah, and I don't.
Yeah. And let me tell you many bad slasher movies that aren't even worth mentioning.
Oh, yeah, but this is from Blumhouse.
Yeah.
I watched fucking Megan like 2 or 3 months ago.
Fun.
It's fucking not. It's fine. The commercials are the best thing about it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's Chucky.
It's
2.0.
It's like watered down Chucky.
Yeah, of course.
Like she kills one person in the. I watched it with my daughter. My 13-year-old daughter watched this movie with me.
Yeah, but your daughter's so desensitized
She's awesome,
to horror.
Yeah. She's not. Well, we don't let her watch anything rated R. I'm not like my fucking parents.
I'm gonna go ahead and give this a good rating of, I would say 7.2.
I'll say 5.5.
Okay.
I
love slasher.
Yeah, I like slasher movies.
It was a good slasher.
It's a basic slasher movie. Again, it's like a
good
basic slasher movie. It's a movie we've all seen before. You've seen literally every scene in this movie.
But you don't see the twist.
You don't see the twist. The twist is stupid and fucking smart all at the same time. And right before the twist happens, I called it. I turned around to you and I was like,
he did.
I told him the ending, which I hate that about myself.
No lie, he definitely called it verbatim. He's like, oh, I see what happened. And
I hate that about myself. My wife hates watching movies with me because of that. Because I want somebody to know.
No, you understand storytelling.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Yeah. And like that happens, man. I get called out on that too. It's like, I bet this happens. And they're like.
But again, this is why this movie is good. It's a movie I've seen before, but that little twist at the end made it almost worth it. So.
Like, you called it, but it wasn't like it's something you haven't seen that before.
Yeah.
It was so you started thinking outside the box and going, because I told you who wrote it.
Yeah.
So you knew ahead of time it was going to be one of those, all right, something's happening. It's not going to be straightforward.
Those are our 2 movies. So what do y'all think about that? Hopefully, again, like whenever we give these movie reviews, these are not movie reviews. These are our 2 thoughts about these random movies. Mostly one movie, because I don't want to talk about the Lair any more than I ever have to. I can't believe I hate that movie as much as I do.
I can't either, because I mean, you kind of ruined it for me even more, because I was like, it was fine, and then when you're like, the guy did Dog Soldiers, I'm like, oh, it's a piece of shit compared to it.
And then I watched
like dog shit.
And then like it's the dude from Scream, and it doesn't hold up to Scream, obviously, but it's still
Scream-esque.
So yeah, it's so watchable.
Yeah.
And then the Lair is just, I want to forget that movie exists.
Yeah, I've recommended Sick to other people.
Yeah,
so.
I'm going to recommend Sick. Like, I know there's a group of friends of mine that aren't into horror that I've slowly been introducing.
Slashers is a good.
And slower, yeah. And this is almost home invasion, which is not my favorite genre of movies, but it's home invasion more slasher. It's not creepy. You're not scared in this movie or anything like that.
It's not. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, it's Scream. You're right. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, let us know what you thought about these 2 movies in the comments. Twitter, we post this on Twitter, so let us know there. Any movies that you want us to watch in the future, that would be nice. We don't need movies, but we always want movies that we haven't heard of. Mostly bad movies.
Mostly.
And I guarantee I'm going to ruin your life on the next double feature. We've actually gotten too good over the past, I think, 3 double features.
That's what you consider good, your last one?
What was the last one?
That was the Dungeon Master.
Man, I like that movie.
Oh, God damn it. If you're going to recommend a worse movie than that, I swear to God.
I think on the next one, I'm digging deep.
God damn
I'm digging deep. And if anybody wants to help me dig deep, you got a movie that's just really fun, unwatchable, but, in my wheelhouse of
Because
movies.
I base a lot of my movies on like, oh, you're going bad, I'm going bad.
Good.
That's what I do.
Well, good. Next one, guaranteed bad. Let's do it.
All right.
Go follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the other social media. The same things we always say. Again, this is the end of the podcast. Go on whatever podcast app you were using. I think we mentioned on one of the other previous podcasts, we are on YouTube podcast now. I think that's new. So YouTube does have podcasts. So we're on there now. We are on Amazon podcasts, which is also new. And we're on every other podcast app other than the ones that have been shutting down. I think Stitcher to shut down. So if you're using Stitcher, I hope you're still, listening to us. So I don't think, why? Go leave all the reviews, 5 stars, hearts, love, hugs, slaps on the butt.
Ooh, that'd be a good one. That'd be a good one.
Whatever tickles your fancy. So we have been your hosts, and we'll be back. Actually, I want to go ahead and talk about what we're talking about in the next podcast. And then we'll go ahead and close the show.
Okay. So the next podcast, we're kind of kicking off. We're going to lean into Halloween quite a bit.
So obviously Halloween's our favorite time of the year. We're starting Halloween now.
Yeah, I had an idea. I wanted to start reviewing some horror franchises.
Mm-hmm.
So the first horror franchise we're going to do is one that's near and dear to us, and it is the Friday the 13th.
So we're going to give our personal rankings,
and we're just going to give a little synopsis of not synopsis, but a quick thing about each movie.
Yeah, and we're going to give each of our personal order.
This is an okay to be wrong.
Yeah, Curtis is super fucking wrong on this.
No,
but we'll figure that out on the next. We'll figure that out on the next podcast. So anyway, join us in the next couple of weeks with a new podcast. We have been your hosts. I am Snarf Chris.
I'm Critter.
And good journey, nerds.
Good journey, nerds.